Fulton County Superior Court Judge Jerry Baxter has handed down sentences to the 11 convicted teachers in Atlanta who were convicted on racketeering charges after they either changed the answers on standardized tests for their students or gave the students answers so they would do better on the standardized tests. Now, they were given the opportunity to take a plea deal even after they were convicted. In fact, the judge urged them to do so, and he warned them that if they didn't take the plea deal, he would hand down very, very harsh sentences. And that's exactly what he did. Now, only 2 of the 11 convicted teachers did agree to the plea deal. They got much lighter sentences. But for the 8 who did not take it and who have been sentenced, their sentences are outrageous. Now, 3 of them actually got 20-year sentences. They have to serve 7 years behind bars, and the rest of the time they will be on probation. Also, 5 of them will get 5 years behind bars. 2 of them will get 2 years behind bars. The 8 who rejected a deal received sentences ranging from 1 to 7 years in jail. For the 2 educators who accepted the deal, Baxter followed the state's recommendations and gave one former teacher 1 year of home confinement and a former testing coordinator 6 months of weekends spent in jail. Prosecutors had urged sentences of between 1 and 3 years behind bars for 3 former regional directors with Atlanta Public Schools. All were sentenced to serve 7 years in prison, as well as probation, fines, and community service. So as you can see in this case, he actually handed down sentences that were even harsher than what prosecutors had asked for. Now, when he was questioned about this harshness, he says that what the teachers did was the sickest thing that's ever happened in this town. This is the sickest thing that's ever happened in Atlanta. Teachers who are under a tremendous amount of pressure to teach to a test changed test answers. That's the worst thing that's happened to Atlanta. Do you really believe that for a second?
No. This guy wanted to send a message in his own mind. I'm not going to let these people get away with it. Okay, who are these people? I mean, you got tough on the teachers? Wow, how bold. Dude, this isn't real toughness. This isn't real justice. None of the top executives at the banks that committed an unbelievable economic meltdown with record-breaking fraud went to jail. None of them went to jail. Are you going to send teachers to jail for 7 years? You want to fire them? We all agree, okay, if they actually cheated. By the way, a lot of the people who did not take the plea deal, they didn't take it because they said, we're innocent. We don't agree, okay? We didn't do it like some people did it, but we weren't among them. I don't know. Look, they got convicted, so it is what it is, right? But they could have taken sentences where they wouldn't have served any time in jail. But they took these, they went to trial because they thought for sure that they were innocent, right? Yep. And those guys, oh, we're going to show them justice. We're going to bring them to justice. 7 years. But none of the bankers went to jail. They went after one tiny guy who was in his 20s. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is a joke, man. It's a colossal joke.
Just to give you an example, so Fabrice Touré was actually found guilty of 6 counts of securities fraud, right?
He's the guy from Goldman Sachs who was a junior level player. They didn't go after any of the executives. None of the CEOs were guilty. The guys who took home hundreds of millions of dollars, none of them were guilty. Only the fabulous Fab Touré, a low-level worker at Goldman Sachs. And what did he get? So
he was convicted, okay? And so, I mean, 6 counts of securities fraud, that seems serious, right? I mean, racketeering is a serious charge. That's what these teachers were found guilty of. He got no jail time, and he had to pay an $825,000 fine, which sounds like a lot of money unless you're someone who works at Goldman Sachs. So, I mean, just think about the 2-tier justice system that we have here right now. Teachers who are already seeing their salaries cut, their class sizes increase, they're being forced to teach to a standardized test when they're teaching in areas that deal with a tremendous amount of poverty, right? They feel so much pressure that they change the test scores, and that's it. They're found guilty of racketeering charges, and they have to serve 7 years behind bars. In reality, a 20-year sentence, 7 years behind bars, the rest of the time they're on probation. These are criminals now. They're considered hardened criminals. Now, they are going to appeal this, and the reason why they didn't take the plea deal is because they maintain that they're innocent, and if they took the plea deal, then they couldn't appeal. So they're going to go ahead and appeal this, and let's see what ends up happening. But this judge seems extremely unwilling to hear them out in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, AIG cost American taxpayers. We had to bail them out to the tune of nearly $200 billion. And we've been getting paid back over time. It's been an excruciating process, right? One executive from AIG alone took home $600 million. He's the one that did all the risky insurance, and those are the ones that exploded on AIG, and that's why they needed a taxpayer bailout. He didn't go to jail. He took home $600 million. You know how many jobs we lost during that economic collapse? 8 million jobs were lost. You're going to go and put teachers in jail? Like teachers are the real problem? They're the ones with power. They're the ones that are causing all the issues in America. Now, I've said it 8 different times. Of course they should be fired. If you cheat, you get fired. 7 years in prison? And even the low-level employee at Goldman Sachs who was convicted, no time in prison.
No time.
Dick Fuld, who destroyed Lehman Brothers, they went bankrupt. They were the patient zero in the economic collapse. Took home a minimum of $300 million. Not a day in prison. They didn't bring any charges because he's a respected member of the community. You cost this country 8 million jobs, 8 million people who can't feed their family. You get to take home hundreds of millions of dollars. You're a teacher struggling in an area that is hard to teach with nearly impossible standards, given the context that you're in. You make a mistake, 7 years in prison. This is justice in America. It's goddamn outrageous. That's actually the sickest thing I've seen in town.